Okay, so let's call the meeting to order.
And we're on the record, Your Honor.
Great, thank you. All right, welcome everybody, and thank you for meeting again. Well, for the first time of the year. It's hard to believe that it's almost been 4 months since we last met. I guess the first thing is to just identify who's here, right? I'm here, Judge Suarez. Who do we go next?
I'm here,
Alejandra?
Donna.
Okay.
Rich Lafredo.
And Pellegano, I'm here.
All
Roy
right,
Brown is here.
Okay.
Daisy
Daisy.
Rosado Hack.
And Michelle Fica from Legal Services.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. I guess the first thing that we need to do is approve the minutes of the December 7th, 2023 meeting. I trust that everybody has a copy of them.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any questions about them?
None.
No.
Okay, any changes? No. All right. So then I'll move to adopt. I move to approve the minutes of the December 7th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? Having none, so I guess we approve the we'll approve the minutes at this time. The next thing that we need to address is the approval of the LEP committee report. Rich, I thought we had done that at the last meeting.
At the last meeting was the language access report.
Okay.
So this is the committee report, the LEP committee report. So this is the yearly report that kind of summarizes the work of the committee for this year and initiatives for next year that goes to Judge Bizzuto and Judge Faceto.
Okay. Well, is there any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, as you will notice, there is a lot of overlap between the language in the language access plan and the committee report, but they are two different documents.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about them?
I do have a question. I noticed that I'm not listed under the committee members list. Is that just because I joined later in 2023?
No, that is a good catch. You should be on here because you were joined in 2023, so we will definitely add you.
Thank you.
I apologize for that.
Okay. Any other questions about the report?
No.
Okay. Great. So I think, Rich, what is it that we need to do with these with the report now?
So what I'll do is I will add, I'll make that edit, adding Daisy. Then what I'll do is I will send this to Judge Bizzuto and Judge Faceto. And once they approve it, we'll get it posted on the committee webpage, and then we'll have it translated into Spanish, Polish, and Portuguese. And the translated report will also be posted on the website.
Great, good. So do you have a time frame for that, or do you have an idea about that?
I'll probably get it out to Judges Bizzuto and Faceto, I would say probably tomorrow. Yeah, I would say probably tomorrow, Wednesday, the latest. Usually they're pretty quick on turning it around. So I would hope that it would be online by the end of this week.
Great, excellent. Does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
No.
Good.
No questions.
All right. So moving on, now we have the grievance procedure. So Rich circulated a procedure a couple of weeks ago on the language access complaint process. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at it? Great.
Yes.
Great. Does anybody have any questions about it?
No.
No questions?
No question.
Yeah, so Judge, this was something that we most folks have seen this prior. This was drafted by Legal Services back when Justice Khan was still here, and we've been kind of tinkering with it. We have it since it has been approved by HRM, just to make sure that there's no HR issues with issuing such a policy, more so as it relates to our employees than our contracted providers.
Right.
And HR has approved it. So yeah, the hope is to finalize this, and then if we do finalize this today, is similarly, this will go to Judges Bizzuto and Facito for their final approval. And then once they approve it, we will put this on our website in English, Spanish, Polish, and Portuguese, and start utilizing it if and when complaints come in.
Great. I just have a question about this.
Sure.
Have there been complaints received in the past which triggered the need for this policy?
The real need for the policy is, or kind of this one, and when we start talking about the next bullet item, the language on the forms and signs, is every couple of years, the, what is the name of the organization? The National Center for Access to Justice at Fordham Law School does a national survey. And they have a bunch of different criteria that they look at for our purposes today, LEP, but they also do ADA. They also have a piece on self-reps. And so two of the things that we've historically, while we've always been ranked second nationally in the services we provided, one of the things that they've always recommended that we don't have is this complaint form or this complaint process. So
Okay.
That's what led to the creation of this. Not any need of us receiving any complaints or issues, but just so kind of we have a process in place really at the recommendation of that organization.
Great. Well, it makes sense to me. So, does anybody have any questions or concerns about it? Troy? No? All right.
Yep.
So I guess the process now is to give it translated. Is that it, Rich?
Yes. So once we'll send it, I'll send it to Judges Bizzuto and Facito
Right.
a lot when we send the report, and as long as they are good with it, correct. We'll start the translation process and get everything posted online.
Excellent. Great. All right. Well, moving on to the next item. Please stop me if we're moving a little too fast here.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Chime in with any questions at any time. So the next item is notices on forms and signage.
So, Judge, this is similar to the last item. One of the things that we've been lacking, according to the national survey, is language on our forms that we provide interpreter services at no charge. So what we've worked with Legal Services on coming up with the language to use and kind of an icon to catch people's eye. Last year, when we were kind of in between, Judge, when you were here and after Justice Khan left, we were working as a committee on an icon that Legal Services ultimately rejected because it looked, honestly, it looked gender specific. I forgot whether the interpreter looked like a male or a female. I honestly forgot at this point. In the interim, we have found an icon that's been used by the court systems in New Mexico and New Jersey, which was forwarded to the group a couple of weeks ago with the report, which is, to me, gender neutral, And if everybody were comfortable with it, I would like to run it by legal services for their thoughts, to see if they're more comfortable with using this icon as opposed to the one we had last year.
This is fair to me. Good. Yes, Brandon.
So just one quick question on the second form that we have where it asks, do you need a court interpreter? And then follows up, please notify court staff immediately and one will be provided at no cost. Are we suggesting adopting this language?
No,
Okay,
no, this is just for, this is just really for the icon.
thanks.
Thank you. Any more questions? Troy, you got something in your mind?
No, I was just looking at icon again. That's all. I'm
Okay.
good. Thank you.
All right. All right, so let's just move on to the training.
The training, a couple of things. One, well, I guess the main one I really wanted to talk about is training for judges. Allie and I tomorrow will be training the new judges on LEP services at pre-bench. So we'll be doing that tomorrow afternoon. But one thing we've talked about as a committee for a while now, and we really haven't done, and I really would like to do this year, is getting the committee's approval first, and then getting Judges Bizzuto and Facito's okay afterwards, is creating an online refresher training for judges. We really haven't trained judges since 2016. Other than new judges. Allie and I have trained every year. We do pre-bench and train the new judges, but sitting judges have not been trained on LEP since the divisional meetings of 2016, when Allie, Justice Khan, and I went out and did that. Last year, we created, we kind of totally revamped it, wearing my ADA hat here for a second. We revamped how ADA services are provided in the branch, and we created an online course for judges that Judge Bizzuto was made mandatory for all the judges regarding the new process. So I'm kind of thinking of would like to do something similar in creating an online course for the judges, not necessarily not on the legal piece of it, kind of probably touch on the legal piece on why it's important, but really to get into just reminders of the processes of how the services are provided, what services we provide, and then what should and should not be done. Hopefully it should be a quick, hopefully no more than a 30-minute course. But I think we're at the point where we really need to do something again with the judges, because it's been so long.
So, Rich, speaking from experience, I think one thing to address is the fact that some courts, depending on where they are, their locations, they have to be more patient than others.
Yes.
With respect to getting interpreters. I mean, I know that working in the busy courts, we expect somebody to be there all the time. But I am also aware that oftentimes we have to wait for somebody to either be online or arrive at the location. And, we all think that our cases are more important, but that's not always the case. So.
Absolutely. And Judge, you're 100% right. The fact is, our staffing levels aren't nearly what they used to be.
Right.
And then even trying to get vendor interpreters in is not as easy as it used to be. So our resources of providing the services has diminished. So yes, patience is a very important aspect of this.
Well, and even in trial situations that, you need two interpreters, right, for one person. And you have to give them a chance to catch up. It's hard work to do it simultaneously, and it's exhausting. So you need to work with them as opposed to just keeping the trial on schedule. You have to accommodate their schedule as well and their needs.
Absolutely.
All right. Any questions about that?
I think Rich, I think it's a great idea. When you said that, it's been 2016 since judges received that training, I think a refresher can be extremely helpful. As Judge Suarez says, there's so much that you have to know with respect to LEP and language and interpreters and so forth. And, I know you guys do this every day, you and Allie, but after about a year or two, you just sometimes just forget it.
Absolutely.
And so I think we should do that. I had a question or two, and that is, we are still requiring branch employees to take the LEP refresher periodically, if I'm correct.
Yes, correct. Yearly. Yes.
Okay,
Once a
so,
year, yes.
all right, so that's going on annually. So, and I'm glad that we're still doing that. And so I would think that should also apply to judges as well. I wouldn't necessarily say annually, but it should be periodically, more frequently than, let's see, 16 to 4. My math is pretty bad. More frequently than.
But
than the
8
amount of
years,
that
it's
have
been a
passed
while.
by. And,
Yes.
and I don't think it'll be an inconvenience if you guys can set it up the same way you set up the ADA refresher, which is an online tutorial that's probably about a half an hour in length for any one person to do at their convenience.
No, I obviously I would be definitely for requiring it maybe every other year for judges. Obviously, that would be a Judge Bizzuto call on how often she would want them to take this. But no, I agree. I think it should be more than just a one and done situation. But definitely, I agree, Troy.
Yeah. And can I ask another question? The new judges to the bench, they receive the full training itself when you and Allie go in to conduct those trainings?
Yeah, but it's in person, so it goes through. Yeah, so it goes through like the legal requirements of why it's important. We do it's not as long, but it's more in the vein of the in-person course that way back when that Allie and Karen Chorney were doing.
Okay.
So it's more like that than the online course
Refresher.
that employees get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I remember the original course, so it has a lot of content. And you're basically saying that for the new judges, they get the same content, but they get it in person.
Correct.
Rich, at this point, have all the judges had experience with the remote video interpretation?
Not yet. So this is a little bit of the next topic, and that will be a part of for the new judges training that we'll be talking to them about tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So the VRI has been rolled out in criminal arraignment courts, housing court, juvenile court, and family support magistrate court. So with that, when we go out and do the trainings of everybody, we always tell them, look, while we've only formally rolled it out to these 4 case types, to the extent there's a courtroom that's available and there's equipped and there's equipment available, feel free to use it. So there have been family cases and civil cases that have utilized it, even though we haven't formally rolled it out to those case types. So it's kind of available to everybody, but I wouldn't say all the judges have actually utilized it yet.
Has there been a study or discussion as to whether or not it's better to implement those devices in slower courts as opposed to a busier court where actually it may be better to have an in-person interpreter?
Correct. So our while they're located and available in all locations, we're still keep our in-person interpreters present in the busy locations. So that's why if you were to see the numbers, like GA14 in Hartford is a very low usage location, because we have in-person Spanish interpreters there every day.
Right.
So that the VRI is not needed. But if you were to go to Derby and Milford, where we don't have in-person interpreters there, their VRI numbers are considerably higher.
And there are
That makes sense.
locations, if I may, there are locations where we don't have Portuguese interpreters. It also applies to Portuguese, Polish, and Chinese Mandarin. So we're able to reach more locations with our staff for those languages too.
That's great. Good. All right. Any questions about that? All right, Rich, so you want to talk about the BRI and the advisement of rights?
Sure.
kinda
So
did a little
yeah,
bit,
so a little bit more on the VRI. So since June, we've done a little over 1,600 events utilizing the remote system. We just about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, we sent out a survey to the criminal judges who do arraignments and the clerks who work arraignment court on how the system is working for them. Haven't gotten a huge response back on the surveys, but the ones that have responded have been overwhelmingly positive, which is good. We are in the process. We're just about done with magistrate court. It's really, we just have some IT issues that we're working on in Danbury, Bridgeport, and New Haven. And then that will wrap up magistrate court. And then we'll have to meet with Judge Bizzuto to figure out the next location, whether it'll be formally civil or family. Those are the only two case types that have not been formally rolled out yet. Regarding advisement of rights, as we've been doing the family support magistrate training, a handful of the clerks have come up to us and asked if we can redo the video for the family support magistrate advisement of rights. As some may recall, a decade ago, this was one of the first initiatives of the LEP committee, where we did the advisement of rights on a CD. We purchased DVD players, TVs, and we recorded the advisement on and put it on a DVD, and in the magistrate court that it's supposed to be played after the English advisement is given. This past year in criminal and housing court, we did advisement of rights there in the housing call notice, and recorded those. But instead of using the DVD process, what we did was we purchased speakers for the courtroom clerk computers, and we had IT push the recordings out onto the desktops. So it makes it a lot more easier for the clerks to play the advisement, as opposed to having to roll out a cart, use the DVD and all of that. So it was a lot more efficient. So the clerks asked if we can do a similar process for magistrate court, and that has been approved by Judge Bizzuto and Ty Erickson. I met with Chief Family Support Magistrate Ferguson about it. He's supportive of it. So he is currently in the process of going through the current advisement, making sure that what we have now is what's actually said in court. So once we get that, we'll similarly record that, and IT will push that out onto all of the desktops where magistrate court is heard.
Great. That's good. Any questions about that?
No.
All right. All right, well, let's keep going to the next steps.
I think for next steps is probably just deciding when we want to meet next. I know at the last meeting and I've neglected to remind folks to do this at this one. I know we didn't have a lot of people who came to the in-person VRI. So I think at that time, at that meeting, we were talking about kind of, I think at Troy's suggestion, like setting a schedule for the year, but we didn't do that at that meeting because there weren't a lot of members at that meeting. And honestly, I forgot to mention that prior to right this very second. So I don't know if we want to schedule just either a specific date for the next meeting or a time where I could circulate dates, and we want to do that for just the next meeting or the next year. Whatever anybody wants to do is good for me.
If I remember correctly, we talked about having a quarterly or so schedule.
Mhm.
I don't know if quarterly works or more or less. I don't know how people feel about that.
I think quarterly is fine,
Mhm.
for starters. And if we need to do more, we can always add some.
Yeah, that
Right.
sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
All right, good. So let's just keep the quarterly. Rich, did we throw out some dates last time around?
We did not. So we only scheduled for today. And so I could send out an email and let people know what their schedules are now. So that will be, we're March. So probably thinking like the end of June. So sometime in the month of June for the next meeting, which I think works well. It's kind of before the big rush of the vacation schedules. So if we wanted to try to schedule something in June, I think that would work.
All right.
So can I just add real quick? Just my calculation. So that means if we're doing a quarterly, we do our next meeting in June, then September, then December. That would get us to 4 for the year,
Correct.
quarterly? Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
all right. I still, as last time, I still prefer if we can put those dates in the calendars. I don't know about many on this call. Well, you're probably in the same boat I am, where stuff happens so quick.
Yeah.
And so I have stuff booking out to the end of the year already. I'd rather have this in the calendar, so it's always on the date and the time, and that's just my preference.
All right. So let's just talk about what day of the week is preferred and what time of the day is preferred. We could do it first thing in the morning, when we come in, or we can do it later on in the afternoon if that's better for people. I don't know if there's some people who have to go to court. Maybe in the afternoon is better for those people. Should we do it at 2 o'clock?
I like that.
2 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Works. Yeah, so let's do it 2 o'clock. I'm looking at my schedule here. If you're talking about June, again, is there a preferred day of the week? All right.
Not on my
Well,
end.
No,
Okay. If we look at June 24th, that's last week in June. That's a Monday. Is that time frame good?
perfect.
Unfortunately, fortunate for me, I have vacation that week.
Okay.
You're welcome to go without me. Otherwise, it would have worked just fine.
Okay. Well, so you're off that whole week, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Well, look, I mean, I think we'll start getting into vacation time for people. I'm off the following week. So we can either do it earlier in the month or go into July, but I'm sure that we're going to start having the same problem in
Yeah.
July.
Do we want to move it up to the week of the 17th?
Right.
Works.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would be available at 2 o'clock on the week of the 17th. Please don't do it just because of my schedule, though. I understand.
No, we value your input here, so we'd like to have it.
Thank
So
you, Your Honor.
is the 17th a good day?
Works for me.
All right, so
Yep.
let's do 17th at 2 p.m. And Rich, you'll
I'll
You'll
send
send us-
out a Teams. Yes.
and some like agenda a couple of weeks before, or about a week or so before, so we can know, we can be prepared for the meeting.
Yes, and my hope will be is to have assuming Judge Rizzuto agrees, to have a draft of a judge's training then for that meeting. I will shoot to have that.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, it'll be unlikely to have a training for this year's judges meeting, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right. That would have been great, but yeah, it's a very tight time frame. All right. Anything else?
Should we just tentatively put in the third Monday of September and then the third Monday of December and just
Yes, I
see
agree
if
with that.
that's,
Yes, Katie, fine.
And so Brandon, are you looking at September 16th? Would that be the third?
Yes.
Perfect.
December 16th is the third Monday in December.
December 16th, yeah.
And then December 16th.
Correct.
Boy, time flies, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're going too fast. I don't want to get cold again.
We're
Yeah,
rushing
I
it.
know.
That's good. Great. Anything else, guys? So should we
Covers
move
it.
to? I'm sorry.
Oh, I think that covers it.
Yeah. So it's 2:33. Maybe we can stand adjourned. Somebody can make a motion. I move to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Great. Any discussion? All right. So then we'll adjourn until June 17th at 2. Right.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Judge. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Your
thank
Honor.
you.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Yep.